Today, we're going to get into some of the most harrowing and honestly most courageous stories of our time. We're talking about the journeys of people who have escaped from North Korea. It's a question we might think about, abstractly, but for some people, it is the most real and dangerous question they will ever face.
And that's what we're exploring today, the immense price of escape told through the stories of those who actually dared to try. We're talking high-ranking officials to ordinary kids, and all their journeys reveal this incredible, raw human will to just be free.
So let's start with people who are actually part of the system itself. You'd think maybe they had it a little better, but their stories, well, they show that in North Korea, nobody is truly free.
Okay, so take this story. Oh Chung-song, the son of a general. This guy was part of the elite. So when he escaped, it sent absolute shockwaves through the system. It just proved how desperate things are, even for the people who are supposed to be privileged.
And his escape was just pure chaos. It was like something out of a movie. First, he drives a Jeep, full speed, right at the South Korean border. But the Jeep gets stuck in a ditch just yards away from freedom. So what does he do? He gets out and just runs for it. Runs across the demilitarized zone while his own comrades, the people he served with, open fire on him. He gets shot 5 times before he collapses, and that's when he's finally rescued by South Korean soldiers. Can you imagine? An unbelievable gamble for a new life. But these kinds of dramatic escapes, they're not a new thing. Let's rewind all the way back to 1953, during the Korean War. There was this young pilot, No Kum-suk, who saw his chance during what was supposed to be a routine training flight. He just diverted his plane, a state-of-the-art Soviet MiG-15 fighter jet, and flew it straight to an American airbase in South Korea. He didn't just get his freedom. The U.S. government gave him a $100,000 reward for the plane. From there, he emigrated to America and started a completely new life.
Now let's jump forward to a more modern case that really highlights the psychological pressure. Imagine this. You are a top diplomat. You're representing your country overseas. Jo Sung-gil was North Korea's ambassador in Italy when he got the call, a recall order, telling him to come home. And he knew exactly what that meant.
The choice he had to make was just impossibly stark. On one hand, he could obey the order, go back to North Korea, and face almost certain death for himself and his entire family. Or he could defect, seek political asylum in Italy, and abandon every single thing he had ever known just for a chance to survive. He chose survival. He and his family just disappeared into the protection of Italian authorities.
But it's not just the elite making these choices. The vast majority of people who escape are just ordinary people. They're driven by things like abuse, starvation, and a total, crushing lack of hope. And their journeys, they're often even more dangerous.
Take the story of Lee Soo-yeon, who was a soldier in the army. She was dealing with constant, horrific abuse from a commanding officer, and there was no one to report it to, no system for justice. On top of that, she and the other soldiers were living in just unimaginably harsh conditions, without even the most basic things. So what was her only way out? To run. She made this treacherous crossing of the Tumen River into China. And from there, she had to rely on this underground network of brokers, people who, for a lot of money, help guide defectors on that final, dangerous leg of the journey to South Korea.
For some people, this struggle for freedom, it lasts their entire childhood. Joseph Kim's story starts during that devastating famine in the 1990s. His father starved to death. Then his mother and sister left for China to try and find work, and he never heard from them again. From that moment, he was totally alone, surviving on the streets as a homeless kid for almost a decade. Then in 2006, he finally made that dangerous escape into China himself. A year later, he found refuge and a new family in the United States. His story is just an incredible testament to the resilience of the human spirit.
You see, for so many defectors, getting out of North Korea is only the first challenge. The next one is just surviving in China, a country that sees them as illegal migrants and often sends them right back. And this is what happened to a young boy named Ju Ho-ta, and his story is just absolutely heartbreaking.
Okay, so first, he and his mom successfully make it to China. But while she's away at work one day, Chinese police find him, capture him, and deport him back to North Korea. He's thrown into a prison camp, and as punishment for his son's actions, his father's tortured. But incredibly, years later, he actually manages to contact his mother again. With the help of a broker, he makes a second escape, and this time it's successful. He's finally reunited with his mother in South Korea.
So all of these stories show this desperate struggle from the inside. But the regime's brutality is not just for its own citizens. So what happens when a foreigner gets trapped?
And that brings us to the really tragic case of Otto Warmbier, an American college student whose story became a chilling warning to the entire world. He was just a student, visiting North Korea on a guided tour, which, seems almost unimaginable now. He was accused of committing a hostile act. What was it? Trying to steal a propaganda poster from a staff-only area of his hotel. For that, he was arrested at the airport just as he was trying to fly home.
15. That was the sentence. 15 years of hard labor for taking a poster. He was paraded in front of cameras, forced to give this tearful, obviously coerced confession, and then he was sentenced.
But he never actually served that sentence. After about 17 months in detention, North Korea released him for what they called humanitarian reasons. He was sent back to the United States in a coma. He had suffered severe brain damage. He never woke up, and he died just a few days later.
When you think about it, the soldier shot by his own men, the orphan who literally grew up on the streets, the diplomat who had to give up everything. Every single one of these stories reveals the same powerful truth. They show the incredible, almost unbelievable risks people will take just for the simple right to live a life of their own choosing.
And that leaves us with one last question. After hearing about all this sacrifice, all this trauma, and all this courage, we can ask it again, but with a much deeper understanding. What does the desire for freedom truly cost?